Hey, what's up, race fans? You're watching Osiris Motorsport. My name is Gabe, and welcome again to another race video. Where's the race video, you might say? Have you done any races at Suzuka West? Well, it turns out that I have. I did one, and we're going to do it in replay mode today because I didn't have the camera rolling for this race, which, a little disappointed for, but, that's the way it goes, I guess. I'm starting on the left-hand side there, number 2 car. We're taking this from Nick Carty's view at the beginning of the race, and I think this is probably one of the most fun races that I've had in Skip Barber to date. It was just fantastic. This track is great for this little car. Wasn't actually kind of expecting that to happen, and we got some carnage here at the beginning of the first lap. So it was getting nice to see that. We're right up towards the front. We got one guy off. Not too bad. Not too bad. So this is week 12. This is the end of season 3 for 2019. Looking back on some of the things that have happened in this season, I've had a lot more increased experience. Gotten much more used to the VR. Gotten used to the new rig. No new pedals or wheels at this point, but hey, one thing at a time. I've got a place to sit, and I've got a place to look that doesn't look too terribly bad. More carnage back there into the hairpin. So this is a really close race. The strength of field was a lot lower, so I knew that I really needed to do well. What I typically run here, this was the second race of the week actually, so I was feeling like I had a good opportunity at a good result. Fortunately for me, the gentleman that we're watching currently, Nick, he did a great job in racing cleanly, and that was super important to make this event really good. Something that I've learned, or at least a good experience for me. So, Nick Carty, if you're watching, thanks for that. Appreciate it, man. That was hella fun. I don't have a lot of experience in these types of situations here, and so having any kind of experience where it's a good one, it's fantastic. So we basically were able to break away from the field for the most part. There's, again, you've seen in the back there another spin, but in this scenario, I really think that this was perfect. I tried to stay behind him and just draft him, and I had already told myself that if I can stay with him, I will. We qualified very, very close. We were within 1/10 of a second of one another on qualifying. And so when that actually came out, I'm sitting on the grid, I just thought to myself, if I don't fight him at all in the opening laps, because this was a 17-lap race, if I don't fight him at all, then I won't have to, hopefully we can run away from the field, and I don't have to worry about any of the rest of that. So I made a little bit of stake through the spoon curve. I kind of had to run, but not really, because I had to lift to get to the inside of him here, and so I just decided to pedal it a little bit, tuck back in line, and we'll go from this view for a while. That curve, turn 1 of this track is absolutely frightening in this car, especially with the advanced setup for someone who isn't of my driving skill. So we're into lap 3 here, and as you can see, I'm able to stay right with Nick, and I was sweating bullets for most of the race. But we started to gain a pretty nice margin on the rest of the field. By the time we got to here, we were, a good solid 3 seconds up on everybody else. So I was seeing, and I'm sure that he was seeing, that hey, we're making good time getting away from the field, and when the race comes to an end, provided that we're still together, we can actually race for the win at that point. There was a couple of spots. Also, I'll back up a little bit. Also, the other thing that this allows you to do is, we'll talk a little bit of race strategy here, is if you stay behind so that you can break away from the rest of the field, especially in a slower car like the Skip Barber race car, what can happen is you have plenty of time to study your opponent. So being behind Nick for just only a few laps, I kind of discovered that I was a lot stronger in the spoon curve, which is the curve that we just came out of there. And at least from the first couple of laps in my analysis, I had a much better entry, I had much better exit, and perhaps even a better line. I'm not trying to brag, but that's what my analysis was. So I knew that if I had the opportunity to take the lead, that there would be a good chance that if I could maintain it until I got to that curve, then I probably wouldn't have to worry about getting past at the very end of the race. We had a guy coming up here that I wasn't sure if he was going to try and rejoin. Thankfully, he stayed out of the way. Whoever that was, thank you. That was one of the other concerns that I have is I'm not really used to close racing in a lap traffic situation. I'm usually the guy getting lapped. So a lower strength of field race where you have quite a few more lower iRating drivers who are getting into the top split, which definitely was true in this case, then you do have to be much more careful about that. So again, this is one of those areas where I'm slowing down quite a bit more early than him. You can see him pulling away at the entrance to the corner, and then of course helped by the draft, which is a big part of this process, but helped by the draft, I was able to get tucked right back up behind him, coming down the front straightaway here. I think this corner is 130R, and again, just absolutely terrifying. I'm sure there's some people that have got some balls that can really just go pedal to the metal through that corner, but I'm not there. Oh no, Nick has a mistake, goes off track. I took the inside, decided that that was my opportunity. I was going to go for it and decided that, hey, I'm going to take the lead now, and if he passes me, or if he tries to pass me back, I'm not going to fight him for it, especially if he's got to run, because I knew that I was going to potentially make another mistake. And so that's kind of the direction that we went with that. And he tucked in behind me. I was thinking I might walk away from him, but I really didn't think that was going to happen unless he made another mistake. So very small bobble on his part. And he, again, you run wide like that, you don't try and jump right back on to get your lead back. Nick did everything correct there, aside from making the initial mistake, which I think he probably just missed his braking point. I'm still trying to gauge my braking point there. I had a little bobble there as well. But yeah, I'm still trying to gauge my braking point into turn one. Definitely a challenge there. With, you're kind of cutting across the track from right to left, and you're trying to get the car slowed down, and you're trying to do so without disrupting the corner. That's a very fast corner that you've come out of right here. And you can go through it if you time it correctly. I was doing a little bit of a lift through here, especially once I obtained the lead. But then the track kind of doglegs a little bit too, which makes things a bit of a challenge. So I wasn't expecting Suzuka West to be quite so much fun, and the truth is that I would love to run a few more races here if I get the chance. Recording this video, I actually elected to record this video instead of run another race, given that my time for media and whatnot and iRacing is limited. But I did want to share this with you because this was a very positive experience for me in terms of I haven't led a race in a long time, and I haven't led a race with somebody right behind me in a long time. In fact, probably ever. So those of you who decide, hey, I don't want to drive these slow piece of crap cars like the Skippy or production car or the Mazda or whatever, they really are great cars. They teach you a lot about keeping the car balanced. They teach you a lot about racecraft. And all of that stuff happens in a scenario where everything happens slower. So you're driving slower. You are not with this, multiple classes of cars. So you have to use different rules or different lines for different situations depending on the car that's behind you. The only thing you need to worry about is how you are racing the guy who has the same car behind you or in front of you. And that's important. It's very, very important. So the place that I was weakest and Nick was strongest was the hairpin corner right there. I was having trouble getting the car down to speed and rolling it through the corner and getting the power back on as efficiently as he was. And I knew that if I could be careful in how I defended my line there, I was expecting him to make a move there. If he was going to make a move, I knew that was where I was weakest. And if I made a mistake in the previous corners, the corners coming up, he would definitely have a run and be able to make a move there. And that was consistent. So you can see third place way in the back there. I think they're at about, okay, well, let's see. This says lap 8. I guess it is lap 8. Lap 8 of 17. They were probably at about 6 or 7 seconds at this point. There's a couple of people that started without qualifying times or started with very poor qualifying times that ended up charging through the field. And I think maybe those types of things have a tendency to catch up with people. So we're starting lap 8. Here we go. Through those two corners. I'm sure they have a name, but I don't remember what it is. Back into the hairpin up here. I'll take the opportunity to talk a little bit more about, you can see him charging in there again. Definitely had this corner locked down. I still cannot get this corner right. So I'll take the opportunity to talk about a few things that I'm excited for coming up in the near future. That's right, iRacing has a patch. Season 4 patch is coming up. And that means that we've got a bunch of new content, a new car, and a new track for sure. It sounds like there might be an update to new tire model 7 or tire model 7.2, which would mean this would put it on 7.3. I don't care what you guys are going to call it on the forums, and I don't care what iRacing calls it. Use a dang versioning system like the rest of the modern world, okay? Software gets version numbers, okay? Version numbers. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, we're done with all of that. Now it's 2.0, 2.1, 2.2. So this tire model, 7.3. That's what I'm calling it. So if you hear me say tire model 7.3, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If iRacing puts out a new tire model for the Skip Barber and for the new Audi TC, then I'm going to call that tire model 7.3, especially if they put in there, hey, we're making tweaks to this. Now, I do think it's a little strange that iRacing hasn't announced actually what's going on. But that makes me think that there's quite a few things that they're trying to get into the build that are potentially in jeopardy, and that they want to make sure that they're able to actually get them into the build, and they don't want to say, here is what we're putting in, when something is very close to making it or not making it. So I'm sure that they're racing very hard for that, or not racing very hard, they're working very hard to get all of that stuff in. So we've got the Circuit de Catalunya, or the more regularly known as the Barcelona Circuit, as we say here in the States. And that is coming to iRacing. There's a new event that's coming with that. I think it's a 24-hour event that they're doing, but they're doing it 3 hours. The Circuit de Catalunya very soon. Everyone's really, really excited about that. I can't say that I'm super excited about it. Unfortunately for me, the primary series that I run in, which you see here is the Skip Barber, is a series that chooses to put these tracks, the new tracks, later into the rotation. So in the example that I think of this time, we've got Silverstone. I think we've run on Silverstone once before. I can't remember if we've run on Silverstone or not yet. But suffice to say, that was pretty late in the season, and it looks like Catalunya is also going to be pretty late this season. The Audi touring car, I'm looking forward to this actually because I think it's going to be my foray into the sports car racing. That's what I'm looking at it as. Not making any super big commitment to it, but if I'm going to jump into it, I'm gonna start with the Audi. It looks like a fantastic car. I'm pretty excited about it. There's lots of people that are very excited about it, and so looking forward to that. And then whatever iRacing might bring after that. So here we are on lap 11. Still learning all the replay controls. Sorry, guys. Blinker coming up. A little slide here. I was really starting to get nervous and not really be able to stay on top of that, of my apexes, especially in those little corners that tie these circuits together. This was a little dicey. Wasn't sure where he was going, and then it was very obvious that he was leaving the open line, and I kind of just let the car's momentum take me to the outside line. You can see he just gets the car rotated so much better through there, and I'm pretty jerky on it, so I think it has to do with my smoothness. But yeah. Head to lap 11, through lap 11 here. So some speculation. It sounds like the new damage model will not be ready for this build. If it is ready for this build, I think it will be on only a select number of cars, which I know is going to upset some people, and it's going to make other people very happy. It might also drive some people to to go out and try the damage model out. If you're one of those people, please don't do that. For example, Skip Barber looks like it's going to be one of the cars that they'll release in a piecemeal fashion, which basically means that if you want to get the Skip Barber going with some crashes, don't do that in races, please. Go do that somewhere else. All right? Please don't do it. I actually think it's going to be 2020, and at some point in 2020, I don't think it will be. Definitely won't be this season, but I've been surprised before. We're getting a new car and a new track, people. That's pretty awesome, and we should be able to live with that. The other thing that I will say, God, he was just all over me, wasn't he? The other thing that I will say is, it sounds like weather is not going to be a factor just yet, which is okay, but I'm kind of looking forward to a little bit more adjusted weather. It sounds like the track depth weather calculations, or the track temperature calculations that they're doing, the increased track temperature calculations. If you've been listening to the Downshift podcast, if you're an iRacing nut, you should definitely go check out the Downshift podcast. It's put on by the guys who make iRacing, and they're still, I think, working out some of the production quality kinks in the broadcast, but it's coming along nicely, and there's a lot of really great useful information in there. A couple episodes ago, they were talking about how there was an increase in the ability for them to model the track temperature. Here's a big slide. I don't know what Nick would have been able to do to capitalize on that. Thanks for not hitting me though, by the way. So when clouds pass over, the track tends to cool, and it cools too quickly because we're only calculating the temperature of the track's surface, where most tracks hold their heat underneath the surface, or a large amount of heat underneath the surface. So the sun can go down, and if you're live in any place in the world that gets hot pavement, if the sun goes down and it turns into night, the pavement will still be warm. It's not because the sun is still warming the pavement, it's just because the base of the road underneath the pavement is still radiating with heat, and that heat is then coming up onto the surface and escaping. So iRacing is not currently doing those calculations, and it sounds like they're looking for ways to incorporate that into the simulation, and that's going to pave the way for true inclement weather, which is something that I'm pretty excited about. I know that there's a lot of people that are like, rain is going to be so awesome, and while I agree to an extent, I don't think it's going to be awesome for everyone, and I don't think it's going to be something that you're going to actually want to have happen most of the time. Because if you think sim racers are bad drivers when the track is freaking dry, you better watch out, because they are going to be horrible when it's wet, especially if the track goes from dry to wet and then maybe back to dry again over the course of an event. Now, if you're driving in Le Mans or the 24-hour race or something like that, it's going to be spectacular. But they have a lot of work that they still have to do with that. Hit the wrong button. We're on lap 14 now. Well past the halfway point. I'm still, super nervous. I think Nick was definitely looking for ways around me here. And of course I've got the lead, so I'm just trying to drive as quickly as I can and consistently as I can without really screwing myself up and then making a bad mistake that will collect him. Because when you're leading, you definitely have to take that into consideration. Most of it is just drive your race, but then there's another part of it that's, hey, I missed my apex there badly. Don't screw up so badly that you collect the guy behind you. So it was a good race. Excuse me. A lot of speculation about whether another car aside from the Audi and the Skip Barber are going to get the new tire model 7. Another big slide for me there. Super slow the last couple of laps. We're on lap 15 now. And so there is some speculation about that. I haven't read anything on the forums that says that's going to happen, so I'm kind of just leaving my mind open. I kind of don't think we'll see it for any of the top tier series just yet, unless they really think they've got it nailed down. The Skip Barber has kind of been the test bed for 7.0, the 7.x tire model. So, kind of expect it to continue to be that way, probably for one more season. If things continue to improve, I think we can all expect to see the new tire model 7.x roll out in earnest during the season in 2020. So, tell me actually what you are most excited about for this patch that's coming up. Is it the TCR, the new Audi? Is it Barcelona? And those of you that are going to correct me the way that I'm saying it, had Spanish speakers tell me that is the way that you say it. It's Barcelona. So they're knocking to you, try it. Are you excited about the new track, the new car, or some other feature that potentially will be in this new build, or that you're hoping is in this new build? Let me know in the comments, or on the forums, or yell at me and tell me how wrong I am for any of the opinions that I may or may not have, or that I've expressed in this video. So we got 2 to go here, coming into the hairpin for the penultimate time. Right here, Nick is, as always, on me. I missed my apex, and he missed it as well, so I think there was a little bit of target fixation there, or maybe he was just driving it hard. I could definitely tell that I was expecting him at this point in the race to, it's now time to make your move. If you've got something, you got to show it here. Especially if you want to be in the lead on the last lap, or you don't want to be in the lead on the last lap. I wasn't entirely sure. I wanted to make sure that I did this section of the track correctly. It actually looked like he came out of that better than I did on that one, didn't it? According to my replay, it says that he has damage. We are on the white flag lap, though. So at this point, I'm thinking, all right, well, I can probably get out of Spoon quicker than him if I do it correctly. And I was expecting him to kind of make a move. And in fact, I left him room here because I wasn't sure what he was going to do. Lap 17, we got mostly cloud cover. Last time around the track, I knew that this was the other risky spot. I needed to nail this exit, because if he gets a run here, then of course I'm in trouble. He's much better than me through the hairpin, and I won't be able to get a run out of Spoon to get past him. I felt like I did pretty good on this hairpin. I probably took a little bit more time than I should have picking my way through there, so there's that. So coming into Spoon, we've got, I actually feel like I did pretty good. It was a late exit. And there we go. It was very close. Again, thanks to Nick. Really appreciate the clean race, buddy. I hope we get to do that again soon. It was definitely one of the better races that I've ever had. So thanks again. Really appreciate it. I hope we get to ride again soon. If you haven't had the opportunity to check this track out, you really need to go check this track out. Suzuka West, what a fun little layout for this car. Do try to check it out before week 12 is over. Or if you're bored, just jump on there, check out the new tire model, 7.2. And yeah, thanks for watching. This has been a podcast of Osiris Home Motorsport, brought to you by Next Level Racing. And remember, folks, don't drive angry and don't drive drunk. Till next time, see ya.